Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. So it is January almost, and in Michigan, January, February, and March are pretty much the coldest and most difficult times of the year for the birds to find food because things are really, really cold, and what was made by nature is oftentimes been harvested off the trees or the bushes or the flowers, and so there's very little left other than what they have stored. So I'd like to put out a little bit of supplemental food this time of year, and I'm going to do that using my bird feeder. Now, last year when I put my bird feeder out, I put it up on a shepherd's hook. And when I had it on the shepherd's hook, it was okay until the squirrels found it. After the squirrels found it, they climbed up it and they kept trying to smack at it so that they could get the food out the side. So a lot of bird feeders are sold as being squirrel proof. This is an Edwardian bird feeder off of Gardner's Supply Company, and it is sold also as being fairly squirrel proof, but it really isn't. But what they do is, because they can't get into it, they try to knock it to get the bird feeder to go sideways and dump some food on the ground so they can get it. And they would do that, and as a result, they actually knocked over and broke off the hooks that were on the bottom of the shepherd's hook to the point where I couldn't keep it in the ground. So this year I'm going to try hanging it from the tree that I have here, this hawthorn tree. It still has some berries on it for the birds, so that's good. And I'm going to use this squirrel baffle over the top of it. And one of the nice things about this baffle is that it is going to also help keep some of the rain off of the food as well as the birds if they're under there and there's some inclement weather and they want to get at it. So I have put together a kind of hodgepodge of things to hopefully hang it from the tree here. I have this metal chain which I'm going to fling over the tree, and then I'm going to hook this S-hook onto it, and that is going to then connect to the squirrel baffle, and the squirrel baffle will connect to the bird feeder. So we have a string here. Let's get it going. So because this chain could potentially do a little bit of damage to the bark, I'm actually choosing an old branch that has some damage on it anyways that is probably going to die soon. If you want to protect it, you can use some small pieces of cloth, or you could use something that has a piece of rubber on it, and that will work just as well. All right. Now this may end up hanging down lower than I actually want it to if I hang it all the way at the bottom of the chain. So I'm just going to hang it like this for now. I think that's pretty sturdy. This may still hang even further down than I wanted. I may need to put it up. Yeah, that's definitely going to need to go higher up in the tree. So let's see if we can get it up here. Oops. Be a little bit like a cowgirl here with my rope. That's not working so well. All right, there we go. Now we're good. Okay, that's going to be good. That'll be much better. And then I'm going to hang this at the bottom here. And let's see how this looks. Now, another thing that I want to tell you is that when you hang your bird feeder, if you hang it in a place where it's out in the open, which they'll tell you to do in order to protect it from squirrels, put it way up off the ground, get it away from trees and bushes. But if you do that, one of the problems with that is that the birds don't have a hiding place. So they feel really exposed to predators, and they'll be much less likely to visit the bird feeder and get the food that they really need during the winter. So I do like to put it near trees and bushes because it gives them a little place to kind of hide and protect themselves in, and so that's what this should do. But we'll watch it over the next couple of weeks and see how it does, and if necessary we can move it to a whole nother place in the yard if we need to. And this is also in an area that I can see during the day, I think it's a really fun thing to do is bird watching. So if you work from home or if you're retired or even if you come home in the evening and there's some daylight out, which we're starting to get a little bit more light, it's nice to have it in a place where you can look out your window and watch the birds. So definitely put it in a place where you can see it from inside the house. Because it's a really enjoyable thing to see what comes to the feeder. You never know what you're going to see. We definitely get some different birds every year. All right, well, I have filled this up about a little more than halfway, and I have some additional food inside. It's always important to make sure you have a good amount of food so that you don't run out, and make sure that you have a good source of it, because once you start supplying it, the birds will rely on it throughout the rest of the winter. So just keep that in mind when you start, because they'll really want to come back for it. So this is just a mix that I bought at my local pet supply food store. Oftentimes you can get it the same place that they sell cat and dog food. They'll also provide you with some wild bird food. And make sure you get some of the stuff that is good and not the stuff that will just end up on the ground. And if you're not sure what that is, it can really depend on your area. Talk to the people at the store, because oftentimes they'll know what is good in your area, and many times they also will only use or sell those type of bird feed that are good for the birds that are in your area. So think about that as well. So after I stepped back from what I had done and assessed the height and the positioning of the bird feeder, I decided it was a little too close to a stone and a little bit too close to the ground. Now, it is possible that a squirrel could still leap up and get this from the ground, but this is probably about 3.5 or 4 feet off the ground at the bottom. So that's pretty good. And we've got it quite far from the top, so they should hit this squirrel baffle and fall off. Another thing that people have used from time to time is like an oil or something, like a spray oil, like a Pam or something like that, just to make it even more slippery for the squirrels so they just can't even get on it. There's lots of things and lots of different ideas for people to try, because no matter what something says in terms of it being squirrel proof, it just never is. So find what works for you, and I hope that you get some nice birds this year, and let us know what you're seeing in your yard. Well, thanks for joining me again today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.